Hey, what's up, y'all? Back for another one. I know it's been a couple of weeks, man. Life got real busy real fast, but that's all right. We're back here. Today, we're just gonna do a quick little short on love. Just gonna talk about love. You know, in this world, a lot of us were taught what we thought our people understood love was, and it's crazy to be out here feeling like I love you, I love you, I love you, but you don't exactly feel loved. And I think that's just because so many of us got the definition wrong of what we thought it was. We might think love is like, I'm with you, I'll stay with you, and and I don't cheat on you and I don't beat you, so I love you. Or, all right, hey, I really like the way you look. I'm really attracted to you, Hey, I wanna spend all my time being close to you and holding hands and doing all that. That's love. Let's skip down the beach. We in love and all that. And I think there's some parts of that might intertwine, but that's not the actual biblical definition of love, what love is. So today we just quickly go over what it actually is. And you can find that in the Bible in First Corinthians chapter 13. Some versions are starting at about verse 4. If you're reading King James, it'll actually say charity, but charity, coming from the Greek word agape, which actually means love, a very affectionate type of love. So it's still talking about love. So it's not to be confused there. If you have yourself a concordance, you can really help yourself with trying to figure out sometimes if something seems like it doesn't make sense, finding out the root of that word and what it actually means. All right, so let's jump into it real quick. So love. How do I know if I really truly love someone? Man, I used to think that I really, really loved someone until I think in the beginning of our marriage, I was always, there was just one day when there was something we were talking about, and my wife was like, and I was like, I love you. And she was like, I don't think that you know how to love me the way that God says to love me. And I was like, so it was a real eye opener for me, right? And like awakened me, like, what? Like, I spent 7 years trying to get out the friend zone just to finally get you, girl. I love you. That is persistence. Like, but I had to really, deep dive and find out, like, oh man. So then, what does God say love is? So, to be simple, what it says love is. That one's real quick and short. So, first thing it says is love is patient. So, quick check on yourself. Someone you say you love, are you patient with them? Like, are you patient, constantly, always patient with them? If they're taking too long to do something, if they're taking too long to, if you ask them to do something a bunch of times and they haven't done it, if they are, if there's something they need to be learning to help your relationship grow, to be better, like, are you patient with them? Or are you always just snapping on them when, like, I've told you this many times, or, you need to do this because we've talked about it, or come on, hurry up. Like, are you actually patient with them? Because love is patient, right? Another one is, it says is love is kind. So, are you actually kind to the people that you say you love? You know, kind is not cussing somebody out. It's not yelling at them, raising your voice at them all the time. It's not hitting anybody, throwing stuff at them. It's not being abusive. It's not cheating on them. It's not talking about them behind their back, or when you get with your friends, and you're out there hanging out and you get a couple of drinks in you, you talking about them. None of that is kind. Like, are you actually kind and affectionate towards them? Do you speak to them kindly, low tone, like in a just a very affectionate way? Do they feel loved? That's one of the big things too. It's like, do they feel loved? But also, I guarantee you, if you're doing the things that it says here to do, like, they're gonna feel love, because it's what, if it's in the Bible, if you do it God's way, you'll get God's results. So this is how love was meant to be. So I guarantee, if you're doing these things, there's no way that they're gonna not feel love. Okay, so love is kind. So if you are being kind to them all the time, okay. If you're not being kind to them, then it's like, how can you really say you love them? So that's another thing that it says there. So that's honestly, that's like two of the main things that it says love is, and then there's a whole list of things that love is not. So you don't want to be any of these things saying that you love. So one is love is not jealous. So that's a big one. There's a lot of jealousy in the world. So are you getting upset every time that they're, talking to someone, or every time that, they smile, or they're just being nice to someone, do you get upset if they have a friend at work that's of the opposite sex, and that, just, are you constantly getting jealous? Are you getting jealous because they make more money than you do, because they dress nice, or they're always getting something for themselves and you don't, and you're not getting anything for yourself? There's like so many ways that you can be jealous, but love is not jealous. And it's the feeling, and it's like digging into that jealous feeling. That's the big thing, because you can have things that you are not comfortable with in your relationship, and you talk about them, and you can come to agreements on things like, hey, you know what? Maybe we're going to just hang out with other couples, but not single friends by ourselves, and that of the opposite sex, and that. And that's like, okay, we're talking about this and we're coming to an agreement in that, but and then not letting yourself get into that feeling. Or like, hey, maybe, we're always getting stuff for you, but we don't ever seem to get anything that I need, Let's try to even it out a little bit. So you can have differences of opinions, you can have feelings and things that you're going to talk to each other about, and then move forward in that, but not just sitting there letting this thing stir up inside of you that's building up all this resentment and anger and all that. And when you start to feel all that, like, okay, there's something there, that jealousy, that's not love. So you don't want to sit in that. Okay. So love is not jealous. Love is not boastful. Okay. So you're not running around boasting about how great you are, and you're the best in this, relationship, or just whatever you would be all boastful and arrogant about in the relationship. Like, that's not love. There's no reason to, I do all this and I worked 20 whatever 24 hours a day. I hold 3 jobs. I hold this family down. I'm paying for everything. I do everything around here. She don't do nothing, or he don't do nothing. I clean the whole house. Look at me, chest all puffed out and everything and all that. That's not love. That don't make anybody feel good. You trying to puff yourself up, like, that's not love. Love is not that. That does no good for anyone. So that's another one. Love is not proud. So that pride, gotta watch that pride. I think that also goes into the arrogance and things like that as well. Just being too proud. The opposite of that would be humble. Just be a humble person in this world. Be a humble person in your relationship. Like, try to take all the glory and the honor and the praises and everything to give them to yourself. Honestly, it says all the glory, honor, and praise is the Lord's. So you shouldn't be trying to give all that to yourself anyway. But don't be too proud and have too much pride in that like, it doesn't lead to anything good. That leads to, like, you don't want to change anything, because you see it's a problem in a relationship, but you don't want to change yourself because you're too proud for that. You got too much pride, like, yeah, I can't be me. I need to change, they need to change. They got something going on in there. That's not love. Love is we're both going to do whatever we have to do to make this relationship work. Whether you got to make some changes, I got to make some changes. We both should be always changing and striving to make our relationship better every single day, every single week, every month, every year. So that way we grow together and we have this long relationship where at the end we're two completely different people, but we're so much better than what we started from. It's not that. That's the way you found me. You were okay with it then. Should be okay with it now. Okay, now you got this pride puffing up. Now you're too proud to even look at yourself in that. That's not love. That's not going to work. All right. And then, or rude. Love is not rude. I mean, that should be, if love is kind, then it's obviously not being rude. So we don't got to dig too far into that one, right? Like, just love is not rude. Don't be rude. Don't be yelling and cussing and being all extra aggressive. They should feel safe with you. emotionally safe, spiritually safe, physically safe. You know, the person you say you love should feel safe around you. They shouldn't feel belittled or small and things like that. All right. So love does not demand its own way. So there's no my way or the highway. You know, there's no it always has to be the way I want it. This is the right way. You know, it shouldn't always be wrong just because it's not what you said. You both should be looking at what's the best way for you all. Like what is getting the result that you want. For us, if we come to a I think we should do it this way. I think we should do it this way. We've made this agreement to where like, okay, what does the Bible say? What does God say? Because that has the final authority in our relationship. Doesn't matter what you think or doesn't matter what I think, you know, somewhere in this Bible, it's going to be what God says about this situation. And that's the way that we should do it. You know, if you dig deep enough in there, it's somewhere in there. But it's not, you got to come to an agreement. That's part of like the other video that I did on walking in agreement. You know, you have to come to an agreement. You can't be, we're just going to do it the way you say because, you know, happy wife, happy life. Or, you know, as long as he's happy, I don't got to hear his mouth. He not yelling and cussing at me, you know, like, no, it's not your way. It's whichever way is going to work best for us to get the result that we want. All right. Cool. Moving right along. It's not irritable. Are you easily irritated with the person that you say you love? Are you always getting irritated? You know, are you always just, you know, every time you say something, you're never happy or you're always angry. You just, whatever it is that you're always saying, like, are you easily irritated? I think a lot of us need to work on that. I feel like sometimes I need to work on that. Like sometimes I don't even think I'm irritated, but my wife says I make faces sometimes. You know, I think it's really because I'm like usually very, very tired, like very, very tired, you know, because I like do not sleep much and I'm usually doing a lot. So I have this tired face where I'm just like it's hard to even think, you know, and then I guess, but I ain't gonna say I've never been irritated in that, you know, like I've never rolled my eyes or made a face or something like that, you know. Some of our faces, just whatever you're thinking inside your face just makes that, like even the face I'm making right now, like I don't know I was making this face until I look at the video and I'm like, oh, if I was making that face while I was talking, that probably would feel like it's irritating, you know, even though I don't feel irritated right now. So sometimes it can be something as simple as that, but love is not irritable. So don't be easily irritated. Be patient, be kind, be humble. You know, don't be easily irritable. Just like, okay, you know what? Even if you got to take a moment and come back to something, just don't be easily irritable. All right. All right. And it keeps no record of being wrong. That's a big one too. So, are you keeping records of wrong? Are you like, well, you remember last year when you did, well, when we first got started, well, you cheated on me 3 years ago. Love keeps no record of wrong. So you shouldn't be stacking up all the things that were done wrong to bring up in later arguments, to bring up in later discussions, or to even hold grudges or anything like that. The things that you guys have already moved past and talked about and you've moved on should never come up again. Because why? You've moved past them and you're not keeping track of them. So if you're not keeping track of them anymore, then how are they coming back up? So they shouldn't come back up. You're not keeping track of each other's wrongdoings or when you were wronged. That's not love. You let that go. We moved past that. We said we're past that. We'll let it go. You know, if there's something that's there that you haven't talked about and you haven't discussed so you can move past, then you need to have that discussion. So you can go ahead and let that go and you can move past that. And then once you're past it, that's it. You don't go back to that. Okay? All right. So it does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. All right. So you shouldn't be rejoicing whenever the other person is done wrong or something wrong happens to them or something bad happens to them. Like, haha, that's what you get. Haha, yeah. Karma came around, got you quick, you know, anything like that. Like you shouldn't be rejoicing, or even if you got your way and you know, and it's like you knew that you shouldn't have, but you just like you shouldn't be rejoicing about injustice at all. Like I said, you should rejoice when the truth wins out. You know, it's like, okay, this is what it said that we should be doing, and we did that, and we pushed through. Rejoice. The truth wins out. You know, we follow God's word, you know, and it says He is the way and the truth, you know, and the life. So, okay, we're doing what this says, and we're getting those results. Let's rejoice. The truth wins out, you know. That's when you should be rejoicing, but not when someone gets wronged, especially someone that you say that you love, supposedly. All right. Almost done here. Love never gives up. You truly love this person. Love never gives up. Obviously, there's some situations in this where, you know, where even the Bible talks about like, okay, that's a little bit much. Like, obviously, you know, you're being cheated on constantly all the time. You try to talk about it, you try to rectify it. The person just doesn't care. They just keep cheating on you. Like, okay, that's like kind of like one of the one things where the Bible says, okay, like divorce in that situation is like, okay, granted, but that doesn't mean that you have to, because any relationship can be redeemed if you do it God's way and you go to Him. Obviously, if you're in an abusive relationship and you're being physically or even mentally just beat down over and over and over and over and over and over again, the person refuses to change. They won't do any of these things. They won't move forward. They won't even work to try to change it. And obviously, you should get out of that situation. So that's not the situation that we're talking about. But just because it's tough, just because you have to work on something, just because they have to work on something, just because you all need to do some changes, you know, just because this isn't exactly what I thought. You're not the person I married. No one is the person you marry in the beginning, because everyone changes. No one stays the same no matter what. You're moving in one direction. Everyone is going to go, you're not the same either. They're not the same, but also you're not the same. So you can't just quit because it gets hard. You know, that's not love. Love is we're going to figure this out together and do whatever we have to do. We're not going to put the problem in between us. We're going to put it over here, and we're going to make a plan to conquer that together. All right. All right. It's always hopeful. It never loses faith. So you always keep faith. We always have faith in this relationship. I know we can do it with God. We can do all things. He strengthens us. We can do all things. I know we can get through this together. Keep hope alive. We have hope. We have faith. We're going to make it. Okay, we love each other. We can do this. Let's keep pushing forward. You can do that. And it endures through every circumstance. We just keep pushing. We just keep pushing. We keep pushing. And if we're doing these things, our relationship is getting better. And this isn't just relationships. This is like relationships like with your kids. You know, this is like with other family members. You know, this is like anyone that you say you truly love, even friendships. You know, if you truly love each other and you're both willing to do these things, like, it's going to work out. It endures through every circumstance. You just keep pushing. You just keep pushing. You got this. That was hard, but we got through it. All right. We're stronger. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going. We got it. We got this. We got this. We can do this. Okay. So if you're doing all of these things, awesome. You're truly doing what the Bible says love is. And you're gonna make it. If you're doing some of these things, but there's some that you're not, which is most of us, because nobody's perfect, then the things that you're not doing, just start working on those. And I guarantee you, watch your relationship start to get better. The more you work on those, your relationship will get better and better and better and better. Even if you're the one who starts working on it first, you'll start to see a change. After you start to change, you'll start to see a change in the other person, because it's gonna grow on. Man, why is things so different? Like, why are they so different, man? I really feel like I'm really feeling love. Everything just feels so warm. They're just so different. Like, man. And then they start looking at their self and they want to make the changes too. So just, if you're doing this, stick with it. I guarantee you things will start to change. And if you're doing none of these, you got a long way to go, but there is still hope. You can do it. I guarantee you can do it. If you start working on just one of them at a time, I guarantee you'll start to see things get better. All right. And that is what the Bible says love is. It's very different from what the world says love is. It doesn't even talk about the way they look or you want to be, you know, like it's nowhere, it's not even close to what the world calls love. So do these things and I guarantee you'll have good results. All right. All right. I'll see y'all on the next one. Again, that's 1 Corinthians 13 from verses 4 up. All right. I love y'all. See y'all on the next one. Peace out.